Just
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna move you to Showtime, which is where we actually record.
Okay. I have a button on my microphone that I can mute myself, so I don't need
Okay,
to
perfect.
switch over and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, we're live. Where you start in 3 minutes. Hey, are you listening to it on Twitch? Huh?
I am now. Hello. Yes, I can hear you. What do you? Oh, you just share your go share your screen on Discord. You can only do it for the channel you're in. So now you can share your screen, share the Showtime screen, and they can. Okay. Okay. Well, they can't. They can now. Well, not anymore. That was probably before. I'm not hearing us. I have. You sound frustrated. Oh, well, you know what? Oh, you muted you, not me. You need to mute the test. You know what? You know what? Party people in the chat. F off.
Okay.
I love you.
All right, I'm gonna bring him in
All right, I'm out.
later. Well, I think we're gonna just end it early and be like, "What's up, party people in the house? What's up, party people of the SFL? How you doing this evening? Can you guys hear me okay now?" Mike the mechanic, you say I'm muted, but I'm not muted. The train wreck Axis show, atta boy. Let me know if you guys can hear me or not. Dave Axis, we ended on time for you. Hey, Kendra, I don't want to hear it. All right, looks like everybody can hear me. All right, good deal. Just I want to welcome everybody to a very special edition of Axis After Dark. We have two guests with us tonight. We have Damon Simien, who is the current owner and wide receiver of the Houston Hyenas. And then we have the former owner and tight end of the Chicago Wildcats, Mr. Shann Varner, with us this evening. I will be introducing them momentarily as soon as I get my act together here and get us all on camera. Before I do that, though, I want to give my condolences from me, from my family. Mike, you can't hear me asking you if you can hear me. That's funny. Uh, I speak for on behalf of everybody in the SFL, Ashley, when we give our just tell you how sorry we are about your father, giving all of our condolences, all our well wishes, and all our prayers for you and your family to get through just this absolutely terrible time. So AJ, keep your head up, and hopefully we will hear from you soon. And yes, Kendra just said we love you with a bunch of hearts in the chat. All right, so hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me see. Speaking of the chat, here's what's going to happen. I'm not going to go through the party people in the chat stuff like I normally do. What I'm going to do instead, you guys got all your chats in. Once the interview starts, I'm actually going to kill the chat. And what I'm gonna put it on emote only. What I'm gonna ask of you, of all of you, because you're such great people and you care about our wishes on this show. I'm gonna ask you to not even during the interview even do emotes in the chat. I would prefer that instead of going back and forth and commenting and maybe even arguing and what have you, I would prefer that you just listen to the interview, listen to my questions, listen to the responses. That's the whole point of this evening. So I will be killing the chat here momentarily, and I'll probably give a couple reminders as people trickle in or whatever. The other thing that I wanted to let everybody know, two things. There were stipulations for this. They had one stipulation, I had one stipulation, and so we just want to be, as transparent as possible with this entire process that we're doing. Their stipulation was that I be the only one to ask questions in the interview, and I granted that. My stipulation to them was that anything and everything was on the table, and I could ask about anything I wanted to ask about, and they agreed to that. So I also want to let you know, Damon was the kind of the broker between this. Shann and I have not spoken. As a matter of fact, we've never spoken until just a few minutes ago in person ever, and I think we've only DM'd maybe a couple of times. So wanted to get all of that out of the way so I can figure out, hopefully I can figure out how to mute this chat. I'm about to kill the chat, everybody, so say your goodbyes in chat. You'll still be able to hear us, and in a moment you'll be able to see us. But, oh, look at Winkler just did it for me. I was just about to do it, and he killed it for us. All right, let me bring this on right here, and there we go. Now you guys can see us all. So once again, let me introduce. Hopefully you can see it right. I'm at the top, obviously, with the bald head. Damon Simien in the bottom left. Damon is the owner and wide receiver for the Houston Hyenas. Damon, how you doing this evening, bro? Oh, you're muted, bro. We got to mute. You're muted, bro, already.
Yeah. I muted myself. I'm doing great, man. Just ready to get to this interview and basically clear the air or whatever, and just get things moving forward, man. Just to move on and so forth. But other than that, man, I'm great. Dave, I see you part of the bald crew.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I'm not wearing a hat tonight like I normally do. So there's that.
Yeah.
Also with us tonight in the bottom right, wearing looks like the Auburn Tigers T-shirt, is the former owner and tight end of the Chicago Wildcats. Shann Varner is with us. Shann, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man.
That's good. I'm actually ready to just dive right into this. I do want to say I want to thank Damon first for kind of brokering this thing and kind of getting the whole thing going. And I also want to thank Shann and give Shann some props. Shann, you probably know I've been one of your biggest critics over the last 6 months since this went down.
Right.
And you're here to answer some of the tough questions, and I appreciate you, stepping up and being here.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You got it. All right. So let's get into it. I want to start with the past, and then we'll get to the present and the future, because there's going to be some people in here that doesn't know why we're here tonight. So I want to give them a brief history. The notes that I took are all strictly from the SFL. I have not ad-libbed what I'm about to say. It's all just documentation from the SFL. So I'm not giving my opinion on anything. I'm just going to read straight from the SFL. So I want to give a brief background of what happened last season for those who may not know. Mid-August last year, 2020, about 6 months ago, and this is what I'm reading from the league right here. Chicago Wildcats owner Shann Varner admitted to Director of Compliance Mark Hurwitz that he had been progressing Cody Scott of Louisiana and Sean Harrelson of Atlanta that season, with further credible evidence brought to the league indicating that those players had not been involved in the progression era of the SFL for some time. Further, Cody Scott's account was on the coaching staff of St. Louis the prior season with access to Gladiator game plans, putting the integrity of competition and the Shield at risk. That gave Varner access to multiple locker rooms and potential progress plans and game plans. Per the code of conduct for a major offense, a two-thirds majority of owners quickly approved the suspension of Varner and all league activities for the remainder of the season. The league took further actions for violations to the LAA, which is the League Affiliation Agreement, banning Shann Varner's tight end from ever returning to the field, and extending the suspension of Varner to week 5 of season 16, which we just completed. And then the last note there was a review of Varner's ownership occurred at the end of season 15. Then in mid-October last year, Commissioner Cameron Irvine released a statement stating that the league, in reviewing the health and current state of the Chicago Wildcat franchise, had elected not to extend its league affiliation agreement with the Wildcats moving forward, and that it was in the best interest of the players to find new stable leadership within the SFL. Shann has now finished serving his league-mandated suspension as of this past weekend, and now we're all here tonight, and everyone listening is caught up. And as of, I believe, is it yesterday, Shann, you are now officially back in the SFL.
That's correct.
Okay, so here I'm actually gonna start, Shann. I'm gonna start with you. When Cam made his statement back in mid-October, he also posted your apology letter that you wrote to the league, and that's where I'd like to begin this evening. So bear with me. This first question is the longest one. So,
Okay.
It says you only confessed to the league to controlling 2 accounts. Cody Scott, who was the tight end, but more importantly, offensive coordinator for Louisiana, and Sean Harrelson, wide receiver for Atlanta. There was a list of about a dozen others who suspiciously left the league when all this went down, and others who stuck around or have even returned and didn't know how to do some of the simplest things, like even progress their player. What Cam said in his statement is true about you already having multiple accounts and multiple locker rooms with access to multiple playbooks with just the 2 accounts that you admitted to controlling. The mere suspicion of these other potential player accounts would make this exponentially worse, obviously. But in your apology letter to the league, you wrote this. You wrote, and I'm quoting you. My selfish and inconsiderate actions were made not to try and hurt the integrity of the league or any other teams, but only to try and help. So with all that being said, here's my question. How is controlling other players' accounts, being in locker rooms that were not Chicago, having access to other teams' playbooks and game plans helpful in any way and not hurting the integrity of the league and the teams? And would you not consider those actions to actually be malicious? Oh,
Okay, so first of all,
there you go. I thought you were muted. Sorry, go ahead.
can you hear me? Okay. First of all, I did write the apology letter because I felt it. I felt that I hurt more people than I intended to. I let a lot of people down, and those are my actions. But for the record, I only logged in for Cody Scott and for Sean Harrelson 2 times each. So the first week for Cody Scott, the second week for Cody Scott, and only 1 time for Sean Harrelson. I don't know how the league said that I was those persons since the whole progression period, but I wasn't. Access to the locker room, I never had access to. A coach's room. I never had access to a coach's room. Cody Scott willfully went to Dwayne Schindler, and they worked out an agreement to let Cody go over the playbooks, and Cody did the playbooks by himself. The only thing that I had any recollection of is that was taking place because Cody Scott was my cousin, and he said that he was going to be taking over the offensive coordinator duties for St. Louis. Excuse me. That's as far as I know of any type of deal like that, right? So for the Sean Harrelson thing, it was only 1 time. I did it to help Mark Chisholm out, which Mark didn't, he didn't have a clue about me doing it. But it was baffling to me how it all transpired and the way it took off the way it did, the way, I'm in charge of 15 people or or whatever. Those is just baffling to me. But
Well,
you
let
know,
me ask.
I served my sentence, and I just thought that um, you know, in serving my sentence, I was going to be, okay, I did this thing, and then um, that was going to be the end of it. Kind of like with Gerald, right? Gerald, he was able to keep his team. He was able to do this and that and the other, but the league felt they should punish me a little bit further. So,
Well, I don't
you know,
I don't disagree with the league in that. I do think that I personally think that your crimes were worse than Gerald's. But to be honest with you, I'm not here to talk about Gerald. I want to talk about you.
right.
It is true though that you did have access, you as an offensive coordinator, to playbooks and such in St. Louis, especially during season 14. Correct?
That is not correct. I never had access to anybody's playbook. Um, the only time that I logged in for Cody Scott was the week of one, I believe it was in week 2. I had talked to Gerald about when he asked me to get up with Cody, see what he was going to do or whatever, and then Cody said he wasn't going to be the offensive coordinator. He didn't want to have anything to do with offensive coordinating for whenever he moved over to Louisiana. So I never had access to Louisiana's playbook or St. Louis's.
So let me ask a follow up on that then. How, if that's true, if Cody Scott was
Mhm.
actually doing some of the offensive coordinating in St. Louis, and you,
Mhm.
even though you had access to his account, which by default you technically could probably have access to other things in their locker room like playbooks, if it's true that
Mhm.
Cody Scott was the offensive coordinator, how is it that later, when all this started to go down, if he's the offensive coordinator in St. Louis in season 14, how does he not know who Johnny Pickler is when all this went down, when Johnny reached out to him?
I don't know.
I mean, if you're the
You
offensive
know what I'm saying?
coordinator,
I can't answer that.
you should know who your quarterback is, right? If you're
You
the
should know who
offensive
the whole
coordinator.
team is.
Right. So I find that suspicious that somebody who's an offensive coordinator wouldn't know who their own quarterback is.
Right.
That being said, regardless of if it's once or twice that you accessed his account or you were in the locker room or what have you had the opportunity to personally apologize to Dwayne and Colin for any type of infiltration into their franchise over in St. Louis?
After when everything went down, I was actually in Missouri, and I called Dwayne, and we had a long chat, and I apologized to him, and a lot of us, whenever I was coming along, uh, doing my offensive coordinating with Carolina, with Chicago, wanting to learn how to do a defensive formation or whatever. Um, we as owners always talks amongst ourselves. Me reaching out to Mighty or me reaching out to Ramos or anybody who had knowledge of the game, right? And so to share ideas and to um, come up with game plans, strategy, those types of things that I love about this game, um, we all shared that. So to when I was talking to Dwayne, it was more like I was apologizing to him, but at the same time, it's more like, um, I don't know. It was more like, I'm sorry that you thought I did this, um, because I never had access to their playbook. I come up with my own plays. I don't need St. Louis's playbook. I don't need, uh, Long Star's playbook. I don't need anybody's playbook to do what I do in this game. So
Let me ask this then. Are you right here on air right now? Are you denying the fact? Because the other convenient thing, if you will, or coincidental thing, is
mhm,
probably a better word, is that you played St. Louis in the season 14 playoffs and beat them. So are you saying right
mhm.
here to everyone that in season 14, when you played St. Louis in the playoffs, Cody Scott was their offensive coordinator. You had access to Cody Scott's account that you did not have access to St. Louis's game plans or locker rooms or anything like that. Hey, We can't hear you, bro.
No, no.
Okay.
The only time I logged in for no negative. I mean, I never had access to their playbook. I never had access to Louisiana's playbook. Again, man, I don't need. I've been in this league since season 5, 6.
Well,
I've had my own team since. I've had my own team since season 9.
I understand.
So
I understand that.
Look at the records. Look at the records of my team from season 9 to and compare that to St. Louis.
I get that.
If I had access to their playbook, you think that they would be worse?
Well, I mean, you did beat St. Louis in the playoffs, so who knows. So here's the last question. Let's before we move on to the next point. Back in 2000, December of 9.
Let me ask you this: if that's the case, then why did St. Louis beat me the previous preseason?
Well, preseason.
Or not preseason, before in the season. St. Louis beat Chicago in that same season.
Well,
but we just happened to beat them in the playoffs, and now it's blown out of proportion.
It's a question because if you did have access to Cody Scott's account, then you could have had access to those things, and that's why I needed to ask you the question. Last part of this, and then I want to move on to another topic. In December of 19, and as I know, that the league was given screenshots of conversations, Facebook conversations between your cousin and Johnny and all this other stuff that was evidence, right? Back in 2019, Cody Scott wrote a big old long paragraph to Johnny about, this is your offensive coordinator for the season. I look forward to this. I've got plans for you and all this stuff. And then 1 year later, he doesn't know who Johnny Pickler is. That's the key right there, Shann. And that is the reason why these questions are being asked, is because how does he have all these big plans for this quarterback that he loves and wants to do all these things with, and a year later doesn't even know his name?
Right.
The suspicion there is that maybe Cody Scott is not controlling that account.
Right. And that's fine. I mean, I don't have an answer for it because I don't know. If he contacted Cody, The bottom of the line is, man, is that I only logged in for him 2 times and Shann 1 time. And what happens between my cousin or whoever? I mean, my cousin just had a bad breakup at the same week of all this having taken place.
Well, speaking of that, speaking of that, let's move on to that. So you had brought up Gerald a second ago, and I wasn't really going to talk about him, but since you brought it up, I want to ask this question. Gerald is the individual that when Cody Scott was going through a time of, and I don't know if it's true or not, you could tell me, with his job, his wife, his father's health, there was a whole bunch of stuff happening. Gerald made a bad decision himself, helped out a guy that was going through a tough time, eventually got in trouble himself for that. Were you Cody Scott in that situation, or was it actually Cody Scott dealing with Gerald at that time?
It was Cody Scott, man. I mean, do you think if he would have came to me, I would have paid it for him? Why would I even have to involve Gerald at this point? Those conversations, which was between him and Gerald, it was not between me and him.
Okay, so just for the record, it
was not between. Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I think we have a little delay. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that those actions transpired between him and Gerald. It was nothing between him and myself.
Okay.
I would have, if Cody would have came to me, I would have paid it for him. I would have gave him the money.
Okay, that's a good. That's that's good. That's good to know that, and that's good to have on the record because, you asked me why wouldn't you have just paid it? We don't know. Maybe you didn't have the money to help him. We don't know that, and that's why the question has to be asked is because it's Cody Scott and because of all the previous conversation we just had, was it him or was it you accessing his account dealing with Gerald, and that was the question. And you're saying it was Cody, and you're saying it was Cody Scott.
Right.
Do you know who? Do you have any information on who paid for Sean Harrelson's subscription?
I don't. I mean, I do, but at this point, I was let go from my ownership. I was let go as a player. I mean, I probably took one of the hardest punishments this league's ever seen. And why keep it going? Why keep hashing it out? I took my
Uh,
sentence. I
well,
I was devoted of
the reason I think that we were dragging this out or whatever you just said is for a couple reasons. Number one, I think there's some people in this league that don't think the punishment was enough. Number two, there's people in this league
mhm,
that didn't know what went down because they weren't here, what have you. And now you've got this guy coming back and nobody
mhm,
understands or knows anything what's going on. And that is the point of tonight is to get answers to these questions for everybody involved. And I also have some questions for Damon as well. Let me ask this last question. Then I'm actually going to move on to Damon for a moment. Um,
okay.
when when you found out that Johnny was going to the league with the information regarding Cody and Sean Harrelson, did you use Gerald's situation to attempt to blackmail Johnny Pickler?
I didn't. The key here is Johnny went after me first. Um, Basically, what I partook of it, what I understood to be uh, the deal breakers. I talked to Gerald, and I told Gerald that Cody was having a tough time, and that he just wants to leave. He wants to get out. And Gerald said, "Okay, well, we'll do this, this, and this, and we'll get him out." And so, basically, we beat St. Louis, or I can't remember what now, whatever it was, and so uh, Johnny had went to Gerald with it, and Gerald told Johnny to knock it off. We're taking care of the situation and all that. So um, Johnny basically goes of anyway, and talks to Cody, does whatever, turns it into the league, and so from there, it basically, you know, at the end of the day, man, I'm not really mad at Johnny because Johnny just did what he needed to do. He felt like he needed to do that. And for me, man, I guess I got so caught up in in doing stuff for the league that I was just trying to help out my friends, help out teammates, you know. So I can't really blame Johnny on anything. He did what he needed to do, but I think it just stemmed from we beat St. Louis or whoever we beat. I can't even remember now. And Mikey, he didn't help things either because Mikey he kept jawing at
Yeah.
Johnny
Yep.
getting pissed off, and then Johnny did what he did. If it hadn't have been, I guess for Johnny turning it over, even when Daryl knew that what was going to happen, and we were trying to handle things in house, so to speak. Um, it just went where it went, you know. And I think my biggest disappointment, man, is I let a lot of my friends down. You know, that's the biggest thing for me. Um, I felt like I let Cam down more than anything because he believed in me, he believed in our organization, he believed, and ultimately I just stomped the fuck out of his brand,
Yeah.
you know,
I want
and
let me follow up real quick, Shan. Let me follow up with these. I want to get on to I want to move on to Damon here in a minute, but
okay,
as we're talking about these accounts of Cody and Sean, there's a lot of other
hmm
suspicious potential accounts that were somehow possibly affiliated with you, right? And let me just throw out a few examples, and then I'd like to get your take on these.
okay,
First one is Corey Carter. Being signed and released halfway through the season multiple years. I don't know a wide receiver in the league that would be willing to play the first 6 weeks of a season and then give up the rest of the season of playoffs and stuff and then just come back and do the same thing over and over. Ash Odom suspiciously retiring just as he was approaching the all-time rushing record. And then Avery King, who left suspiciously right at the same time Ash Odom did, and nobody had a clue.
okay.
Were you affiliated with more than just these two accounts? And it's a two-part question. If so, did the league instruct you to remove all the accounts you had any affiliation with in the league?
Okay, first off, the question was I any of those other players? No. What had happened with Avery King was, as Eric knows, and not a lot of people know, but Avery King has epilepsy. He had a spell where, and all these guys are my friends in real life. Okay. And he had an episode where he was put in the hospital, doing pretty bad. And he didn't progress 1 week. He called Eric or talked to Eric or something, I don't know, and told him that he was thinking about just retiring from the league. And Eric told him, I think Ethan said, Avery told him that he was going to just leave, or he can wait 2 weeks and have somebody replace him. And Eric said, you can wait till 2 weeks and we'll replace you. So that's what he did. He missed the 2 weeks, I guess. So he left. Well, when all this was going down with me and Pickler and Gerald, when all this was going down, all this was coming to where I didn't was going to coach for the rest of the year. And then my player was going to come off the field. Well, all of us like to watch the games together. We like to eat pizza, drink, whatever.
Right.
And so, in doing so, whenever Ethan told me that about Avery, Ethan said that he was going to retire. And then, because he didn't want to not play if his brother wasn't going to play. And then Ash Odom, was also their cousin, and he didn't want to play. So if Avery wasn't going to play, they all three weren't going to play. So whenever Avery left, Ashley left. So that made me look even worse. Okay? And then Ethan said, well, I'll stay because I want to finish out the season and I'll retire next season. Well, he gets the niche. Same thing with AJ Barnes. They get the niche to come back. They want to play again another season. Okay? I can't control these people. It may look like I'm controlling them, but I'm not controlling these people. I was never these people. Now, Corey Carter's a real good friend of mine. Okay? He played a couple seasons here and there with some other teams. When I finally got him to get him on my team, hey, I need a wide receiver. That was the name of the game. Okay? When you had a wide receiver, you can go up to week 8 or wherever it was.
Right.
You can have a guy miss 2 progressions. He misses 2 progressions. You get a guy of value right in that same spot. Same number of
I don't think
everything.
anybody's disputing that you.
So Corey did that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's disputing that you broke that rule, Shann. I think the suspicion is that it happened multiple seasons and it happened at the same time to the same person every single.
But it's not in the
season.
rule book that you can't do.
No,
it.
I'm not saying it's not.
It's not
What
the
you
rule
can do.
book.
What
Right.
I'm saying is what wide receiver who are some of the what we used to, what we talk about on this show, the most diva type people you'll run into. What wide receiver would just play the first 6 games every season and give up the stretch and the playoffs and maybe go to the championship just to come back the next season to play 6 games or 8 games, whatever it is again, and do the same thing over and over again? Who would do that and why?
I'm just going to interject. I'm going to interject right here because
Wait, Damon, hold on. I want to hear his. Damon, I want to hear his answer.
Let me speak. I can understand that.
I'm going to you right after this anyway. I've got like 4 questions.
But before I forget,
All right.
I understand you asked him the question, but before I forget, there's other teams in this league that has had owner players on their team or whatever. A player quits, that team will bring in.
Nobody's disputing that. Nobody's disputing that, Damon. Damon, the question is the same person doing it season after season after season. That's the question.
There's other teams that do it season after season after season.
With the exact same player?
Yes.
Give me an example.
I'm not going to drop any names for the team or whatever,
Okay.
but there is.
All right, don't let Shann finish answering this then so I can get back to you. So then I can ask you some questions, Damon.
All right.
Yes. I mean, he's my friend. If I asked him to do it, he would do it. No questions.
Okay.
That's the loyalty that when you have friends, that's the loyalty that you get.
I get that. I get friend loyalty. So let me go over to Damon. I'm going to give you a break, Shann. I know it came out, guns blazing, and I'm going to give you a break for a minute.
It's fine. It's fine, man.
No, it's good.
It's fine.
All right, Damon.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear me good?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Dude, I think it's your microphone because you're the only one I'm having problems with.
You said do what?
Yeah, I think it might be your microphone because you're the only one I'm having problems with.
I don't
Are
know
you
what's
hearing
going
me?
on. Second.
Give us a second, everybody. I don't know if you guys are. For those of you watching, you can probably see Damon working on his computer. For those of you not watching, you may not be able to see that, but that's what's going on. If you, oh, okay. I'm getting a couple people saying, Damon, that they can actually hear you and they can hear me, so it might just be your headset hearing me. I got a couple of people DMing me that right now. Are you able to hear me? Did we lose Damon?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
Okay,
hear you
all right,
better.
perfect. All right, we're back. All right, good. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging in there. We're back. Some questions for you, Damon. First question, the most obvious question I'm sure that everybody wants to hear the answer to. Is Shann Varner now a member of the Houston Hyena franchise?
Yes, he is. Why wouldn't he be?
Okay.
There's nothing in the clause that says that he
I
can't he can't join a team.
not saying. I wanted to make it official.
Got it.
Can you let everybody know kind of like how and when this went down? I know you briefly talked about it on my show, but not everybody could have been listening that night.
Well, repeat the first part of the question.
Just how and when this whole thing went down about him coming on it, and what is his position with the franchise?
Well, after the season was over with, I reached out to Shann, basically, and just informed him that, hey, if your plans are to get back in the league, I will be more and gladly to have you, be a part of my team. You come in here, we work together side by side, or so forth. Your position would be offensive coordinator. If you want head coaching job, you can have that as well. But he said he'll stick with OC, and we'll talk about, head coach in a later date or so. But he didn't come to me about it or so forth. Shann basically stuck to the principles of his suspension in reference to not having any type of affiliation with anyone within the league or reaching out to anyone in the league or so forth. Like I stated, I reached out to him in this regard, and Shann informed me that, hey, I'm going to stick to the principles of the suspension and make sure that I do serve my time accordingly to the rules that the SFL has put in place. And he says, I'm not going to, have any type of interaction with you or your team or even anyone in your front office or so forth. Communication will be basically just to you and I or so forth. And, once my suspension is up, then, we go from there.
Okay. Do you feel like those conversations in themselves violates Shann's suspension? Since you brought that up,
No, no,
because I think
not at all.
the quote said in all league activities. So would be talking to an owner about a potential future position be considered in all league activities?
He didn't reach out to the owner. I reached out to him.
No, I'm not saying.
And then
I'm saying the conversation. The
I,
conversation.
I understand. I understand what you're saying. I understand where you're trying to go with it. I understand reverse psychology as well.
It's not reverse psychology. It's a simple question.
Well,
I'm just asking you if you
understand.
think it's a
Well,
violation
okay.
or not.
No, and I answered your question. You can just move on to the next
Well,
one.
now you're talking about reverse psychology or something. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, okay, come on, Dave.
It's fine. Come on.
Come on,
Yeah, come on. Come on.
Now.
Come
All right,
on.
all right.
It was a simple thing, and I actually only brought it up because you mentioned it. So, my next question for you is actually this, and then I'm going to jump back to Shannon with the same question. Do you feel, Damon, that with all this transpired with Shannon, obviously you do. I think the question here is going to be more why. That Shann should immediately be thrust back into a position of leadership rather than start at the bottom, earn his way back, maybe go into the minor leagues so he can understand how he took SFL minor league spots away from other deserving people and even just regular people that weren't in the minor leagues, just roster spots in general, possibly. So at least two that we know for sure. Or at the very least, maybe do, like an apology tour, kind of maybe, go on other shows and get his face out there, kind of like what he's doing tonight, and get back in the good graces of the great people rather than just jumping right back the first day he's back into a leadership position.
Well, to answer the question, with me personally, I don't think that he should have to go down to the minors. He has paid his dues to the league itself. And to be honest with you, no one in the minors will ever be a coach on my team. That's just me pointing that out. There's other owners that feel that way as well. We have been around this for a very long time, and I'm not going to take a back seat to when I'm trying to move forward and win ball games and so forth. Me allowing someone from the minors who just came in the door yesterday take control of my
No,
team.
that's not. That wasn't the question. That's not what I'm asking, though, Demar. I'm not asking about if minors can coach in your team. I'm asking you
Well, you
if
just
you
said
think.
that.
No,
Come
I'm
on,
saying
man,
if
you
you.
just
I
said
no, I did not. I didn't say anything about him coaching. I said, do you think Shann should go to the minors? I didn't say anything about minors coming to your team.
Oh, well, that was me answering part of the question as well. That's the reason why. No, I don't feel that he should go down to the minors. If his plans is to have a player, then yes, then that player must go through the minor leagues because he cannot have the player name as Shann Varner that played tight end for the Chicago Wildcats anymore.
Correct. That is correct.
So if it's a player, then yes, he must go to the minors. But as far as being a coach, then no, I don't see why he should have to go down to the minors to be a coach or so forth. When
Well, I'm not saying he has to go to the minors to be a coach. I'm asking, do you think that he should be thrust into a position of leadership again so quickly after his suspension?
thrust into leadership. I don't think he's been thrust into leadership.
Well,
I basically asked him. I'm not pulling the guy and pushing him into that.
No, I mean you offered him head coach, so that's a pretty big position of leadership on an SFL team.
To be honest with you, no, it's not because the head coach don't do crap.
Dude, coaching's everything in this league. You know that. Everybody talks about it.
Okay, all right. You just got here.
Okay,
you just got here. You're gonna tell me I've been here since 5 years.
What does that matter? What does that matter?
Because
head coaches are leaders. Coach Craven's the head coach of our team. He's one of the leaders of our team. It's not rocket science, Damon.
I'm not saying that. You're right. Head coach is not rocket science. You just said it's a big deal.
People put a big thing on here. Anyway, you know what? I'm gonna move on to Shann. Shann, same question to you.
I don't think you're liking the answers that I think
because you're not answering. You're actually not answering my question. You're talking about minor league coach and all this stuff that I didn't even ask you about.
All right,
Shann. Let me move back to Shann for a moment. Shann, same question to you. Do you want me to repeat it, or did you get the gist of it?
Sure.
Do you feel you deserve to immediately return to a leadership or front office or coaching, head coach, whatever it is, type of position after all that's happened?
What you say?
Okay. Well, the answer to your question would be I've been here for a long time, and to go down to the minors might be the way I would need to go. And but to that, if I go down to the minors and then I win in the minors, how many people are still going to call me a cheater, whether I coach for the Hyenas or a minor league team?
You don't look at that.
Yeah.
I think that my time being here allows me to have a position with an offensive coordinator job. Head coach, again, I told Damon I didn't want a head coach. That if he was offering a position, I would take offensive coordinator. A lot of people may think that I need to go down to the minors, but for what reason? Just to come back the following year to another team?
I mean, maybe. Do you think, and this is a follow-up question to that, do you think coming back into a leadership type position so quickly shows more arrogance, I guess, as opposed to humility and remorse?
It depends on how you look at it. The remorse, I think I just did a year's worth of remorse. I stayed true to what I was supposed to do. I didn't talk to anybody. It was only at the beginning of this season, that I talked to Damon. You can ask Mark. I haven't really talked to him that much. I got a new position at work. I'm not on the phone a lot of times. I don't talk to Jeremy Vega. I don't talk to Gerald. Even Gerald, you got to realize I called Gerald Smith every day. We talked about strategy and how to do things, and every day. These guys are my friends. This whole league was built on people wanting to come together and strategize over a video game because Like Cam said in the documentary, a kid that's 12 years old can mash buttons all day long, but does he understand the strategy of the game? And that's the reason why me and Ramos and Mighty and I mean the list can go on and on. Jermaine, Destro, all of us get that because we wanted that aspect. We want the camaraderie of everybody coming together for one purpose, and that was to have fun. And at some point, I cared more about winning than having fun.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask you. You talked about how you guys are all friends, and how do you do what you did to your friends? And and it goes further than that, right, Shann? It's not just your friends; it's other people in the league that you didn't know. It's Cam. It's a lot of people, right?
I mean, Cam was my friend. I would think Cam was my friend.
Well, I meant just meant him. I meant him as the leader. Yeah, go ahead.
I just felt like, I felt terrible about it, man. People can ridicule me, they can belittle me, they can do whatever they want to. But at the end of the day, man, I had to live with my actions. I fucked up. I know that. I told Cam that. I told all the guys that, even Stephen Hacker. Me and Steven talked a lot. I can't take back what I did. All I can do is move forward. And if you allow yourself to live in the past, then you know better than I am.
Well,
right? I mean, because I'm trying to move forward here, Dave.
I understand.
I'm trying to go through my process of redemption, and I know it's going to be hard for people to trust me, but at some point, you've got to trust me.
So, I think that's part of what we're talking about tonight is what is the proper or the right process for that to happen.
Let me finish real quick.
Go ahead.
I just know that I hurt so many people, and honestly, I can't take that back. All I can do is move forward and show you that I'm still the guy that we I mean, I went to every convention. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on owners' fees, getting people to Atlanta, getting people to Dallas. When Cam said, "Hey, or which way are you going? Can you go by and pick this person up?" Sure, man. There was no hesitation in doing something for my friends, for my brothers in this league. I make this one mistake, and it's like y'all throw all that out. Look at all the pictures we took from all the conventions, hugging each other's neck, boasting and winning, and and out of all of this, there's still the people. Andy Hamilton, Eddie Gage. I mean, all these people call me. Hey, man, how you feeling? How you doing today? Just checking on you. I sent my son. He had graduation, and I sent every graduation he wanted to send out to all the people over the SFL, all the way from Mexico where his coach is, all the way from everywhere.
Well, so
because we're friends in this league, and I made it.
Go ahead. I think we're delayed again, Shann. Go ahead and finish your sentence.
I'm just saying that, I made a mistake, and I truly am sorry about it. I wrote an apology. I don't write, especially don't write Dwayne Schindler list. Okay? But I sit there and wrote that whole thing out and did the best I could to apologize. But, I know I hurt Cam about it. I know I hurt Cam about doing this. I screwed up his brand. I paid the price for it, dude. And you can say what you want to. Anybody else can say what they want to. I paid the ultimate price for it. Not only did I lose my team that I worked really, really hard to get, but I also lost my player.
Do you feel in your heart? Do you feel that you were punished too much?
I felt like the league agreement and what I had sentenced for was a little bit more than what Gerald had, but they didn't go by just that. They went a step further and just kicked me out of the league, basically. They got rid of my player who's been here for 10 seasons. they got rid of my team who had been here for, you know, since season 9. And I couldn't have any contact with my friends. Do you know when Rich Pratchard passed away, I couldn't even say anything to anybody? That hurt me. Dude, I used to call games with that man.
No, listen.
That hurt me. That hurt me more than anything, that I couldn't to contact Cam. I couldn't contact anybody and say, God, I'm sorry.
Well,
and I did that to myself, Dave.
I know you did, and that's the. And I mean,
I'm not explaining. I'm not trying to take. Oh well, poor pitiful Shann. I'm not saying that. I know I messed up, but to try to come back in the league.
Here's where the rubber meets the road. I think for a lot of people, Shann. I think that a lot of people were here when this went down. A lot of people know a lot of went down. Some people may or may not know some of the detail we've discussed tonight or not, but a lot of people know a lot of the details that went down. And I think the main question now is, I don't think anybody would argue that you deserve to be banned for life or anything like that. I don't think anybody would argue that. I think the better question is, when you come back from something like this and have a suspension, why do you feel, or in this case, Damon too, and I'll ask Damon again here in a second, another question, that you deserve to be put back into some kind of position of leadership and leading people when that's kind of where you messed up to begin with? I mean, you know, in Cam's statement, he said the loss of leaders in Chicago showed a discombobulated and dysfunctional operation in Chicago. You called Mikey Improta the centerpiece and backbone of your franchise, and he went off the deep end, lashing out at people before he left and caused more damage to himself, the Chicago brand, and to you. And so I guess the question is, are there leadership questions when it comes to you, and is that something you need to earn back as well?
Well, I don't know about the leadership, because if I was there, they wouldn't have fell apart. I think I can lead people. Is it right now? No. All I want to do is come back and try to put my best foot forward. And if that's doing something that I love, calling plays or whatever, I'm not trying to tell people how to progress their player. I'm not trying to tell people what they should do, for another team. I still, listen, this is no joke. I'm not going to call any names. I still have people reaching out to me, asking me what they should do on offense.
So,
do you know how many people has called me and said, hey, you don't have to if you don't want to, but could you help me out with the offense? I can't seem to get this going. Do you think I turned them away? No.
Let me ask.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is not, this season. I'm just simply saying that in the past, people have called me. Just the same way I've called other owners and asked them for help. That's just what we do. What kind of ass would I be if I said, no, you figure it out yourself? And actually, I had an owner who's not in the league anymore told me that.
So do you think that goes more to leadership though, or just friendship? Because I'm asking you about leadership, and it sounds like you're answering with friendship.
Okay, well, with leadership, I'm not leading anybody. I just want to come in and do my thing, and then I just answered the question of, I'm not going to tell people about progression. That's a part of being a leader. I'm not going to tell anybody about how to do this and that. The only person I'm going to be talking to is Damon. And if he wants me to run the ball all game, I'll run the ball all game. He wants to throw the ball all game, we'll throw the ball all game. I work for him, so I'm not an owner anymore. So my duty as the offensive coordinator is just come in and do my job and just be a part of the league like I love to be. There's probably nobody that I know of that, I can't speak for everybody, because they're like, oh, well, don't tell me how you love the league more than I do. I can't say that, but I love the league a lot. I mean, I've been here for 5 years, not 5 seasons. So I do love the league. And in regarding, because I know the question you're just going to ask me is, if you love the league so much, then why'd you do what you did? Well, I made a mistake, dude.
Yeah, actually,
everybody makes
that, but I get that. I wasn't actually going to ask you that, but I appreciate you asking it yourself and answering it. I want to bring Damon in here. I think Damon
loves the league.
What's that?
I do love the league. I mean, if I didn't love the league, I would have just left when my sentence was like being taken place. I didn't join any other league. The only league that I went to was a World Alliance or something, and they were not that great. So,
Let me bring Damon in for a second. I think he's kind of chomping at
Okay.
the bit to get in here. Damon, are are you there, Damon? Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, I'm here. I can hear you now. And
Yeah, I don't know. You and I are having issues with microphones, I think, or something.
yeah, we
Um,
are, and I think that had something to do with the last question that you asked me as well.
not being able to hear the whole thing, probably.
Not being
I
able to
get
hear
it.
the whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no worries, no worries. I have a new question for you anyway. I'm sure you guys keep up in the news and sports, and that whole Chris Doyle situation with Urban Meyer making a bad judgment of bringing him in after a bad pass, and it was too soon, and now he's had to resign. There's bad sports stories. Damon, you and I even brought up Pete Rose when you were on the show. There's the Michael Vick example that he didn't come back right away. He had to do kind of an apology tour and give money to animal charities and all this stuff and kind of work his way back into the good graces of people before he came back. Donald Sterling goes without any explanation whatsoever. I guess my question to you, because obviously you already have your mind set up. Shann's back. He's your OC for now. He's potentially your head coach in the future. My question to you, Damon, though, is I heard Cam's advice to you on that community call that he did, and I'm wondering, Cam's advice was more of what I asked Shann earlier about, taking a tour, an apology tour, maybe getting the word out, doing shows like this, like he's done tonight, potentially starting in the minors with a player, whatever. Why? What made you decide to not go with Cam's plan? And bring Shann on anyway in the capacity you're bringing him in?
That's a great question. And the reason why I didn't want him to go to the minors was because, one, I didn't feel that he needed to go down to the minors. For one, let's just put that out there. And also the apology tour. That was discussed, yes, and that is something that we do have in the works in reference to doing Ashley's show next, and that probably will be the last stop. Cam recommended that we did your show first. Just putting that out there, because the original plan was we were going to do Ashley's show first, and then Cam stated I think that you all should go to Dave's show first. Due to the amount of people that views Dave's show has a dislike towards Shann, and that could be a way of him announcing his apologies to everyone or so forth through Dave's show, where the most speculation or conflict is centered within your audience. Or
Right.
so.
Okay.
The next question you asked, what was the question after that one? I'm sorry.
What did I? Oh, it was just one question. That why
Okay.
did you decide? What made you decide to bring him on now rather than do what Cam had suggested?
Right. As I stated, I didn't feel that he needed to go there. And two, I wanted him to come and work with me because, one, he's my friend. Okay, let's just put that out there. Shann and I has been friends since season 6. This is a little story, but as far as how Shann and I got to where we are, I'm picking up my daughter from a basketball game, and I get a call from someone I don't even know, and it's from Shann Varner, and Shann is like, "Hey man, James Klein switched me over to be defensive coordinator. I don't know jack about defense." So as I'm driving home, I'm guiding Shann and teaching him about defense, teaching him about cover 3 in the game, cover 4 in the game, and so forth and all that. Shann, I'm not sure if you remember that conversation or not, but that was one of the realest conversations that he and I have ever had, and in that first conversation and so forth. But to answer your question, Dave, I feel that Shann coming on board with me would be a help to him in reference to, one, I love giving people second chances. A second chance was given to me. And I've always stated it to myself and to my family, if I'm able or in a position to give someone else a second chance, I will do just that. And so that's one of the reasons why I didn't go with the direction as Cam stated, and also it's not in the clause of his suspension that when he comes back that he has to go to the minors. If that would have
Oh
been
no,
in
of
there,
course not. Of
I
course
would,
not.
right. If that would have been in there, I would have agreed to that with no point, no explanation or anything or whatever. But since it's not in there, I can't go with that. Cam is a good friend of mine as well. I respect Cam to the fullest. And there's no knock on him in reference to the punishment that he gave Shann. He felt what he had to do to protect his brand. As I tell Cam all the time, this is your baby, and he'll call me with suggestions or so forth, or ask me questions like, hey, this is your baby. You have to do what you have to do to protect it. This is your little red wagon. Wherever you pull it, it shall go.
Right.
So just by that not being in the clause, that's the reason why I brought him on with me and so forth. Some may say that I took advantage of it. Yes, I did. It wasn't there. So it could have been another owner could have reached out to him as well. He's good buddies with Andy Hamilton, not bringing Andy up in any, shade form or whatever, just stating that he's good friends with Andy. Andy could have called him up. He has history with James Klein. Klein could have called him up or so forth, but as me being his friend, I felt that this would be the best situation for him is to come with me. I have a good rep under my name, and just to like he's given his apologies. He's served his suspension and so forth. Allow the guy to come back and rebuild his character, meaning his character as the person. I can, like I stated on your show the last time, I can care less about the avatar. It's about the individual, the person who I care about most, and by Shann being my friend and so forth, I care about him and his character.
Let me. I want to wrap this up. I told everybody I didn't want to go more than about an hour 15 to an hour 30. My last question is actually for Shann though. Shann, you still with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Here's the thing. I can't help but think, and I've kind of had this recurring thought. If Johnny hadn't reached out to Cody Scott and Sean Harrelson last year, you might still be continuing all of this stuff that you were doing. And again, you're telling us what you did. We know that there was potential for more. Some people will think that you did more. Some people might think you did less. But that being said, are you truly, sincerely, genuinely sorry for all the havoc and the damage and the hurt that you've caused throughout the entire league? Not just your friends, but to Cam, and I'm not saying Cam's not your friend, but as the leader of the SFL, to people you don't even know, minor leaguers that are trying to get in and get a spot, what have you, to teams like St. Louis, well-deserving individuals like the minor league players I mentioned, and the amount of careers and even game outcomes that may have been affected by your actions. Are you actually sorry for that? Or is my recurring thought have some accuracy to it that if you didn't caught, you might still be continuing this? So are you sorry, or are you just sorry that you got caught?
No, I have to say that I'm 100 apologizing to everybody in the SFL for my actions. I mean, it was stupid. It was selfish. I mean, I don't know how many times I got to say it, but, it was the dumbest mistake I've ever made in the SFL. Bar none. And if Johnny hadn't have went forward, then, probably would not have said anything. I'm being 100% honest. Because Cody Scott would have been out because Gerald wanted him out anyway. And then my cousin, being, with the situation that he had, he was not coming back anyway. And then with Sean Harrelson, I only logged in for him one time. So, he probably would have been gone at the end of that season. To be 100% perfectly honest, it wouldn't have changed anything.
Yeah, Shann, I think I'm losing you. I don't know if we're losing the feed. Damon, can you hear him or can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can't hear
Still,
Shann.
Oh, I
Looks
think
like Shann.
Yeah, I think I had one last question for him and we just lost.
Continue to.
Yeah, sounds like he's still trying to talk too.
Yeah. Shit.
coach, hopefully win
Okay.
games
Hey,
and
Shan, we lost you and we didn't hear anything you just said.
whatever.
Shan, can you hear me? I don't think he can hear me. That's too bad. I have one more question for him. I wonder if he
No,
can.
I'm here.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, nobody could hear you and we can't see you anymore. So just keep talking. As long as
Oh.
we can hear your voice.
Okay.
We missed everything you just said.
Okay, so basically, if Johnny had not said anything, nothing would have changed because Cody would have been out, Shann would have finished the season, and he would have been gone, and everybody else would have been defending for themselves. If Ash wanted to come back, he would have come back. If he didn't, he didn't. I mean, at the end of the day, we all wanted to play with each other and watch each other play in the game, and then we couldn't do that, so everybody was like, I don't want to be here. So when I was giving my outs week 4, week 5, or whatever it was, everybody said they don't want to play anymore. If we all can't play on a team and play and watch our guys and have fun, then they didn't want to do it anymore. So nothing would have changed. I'm trying to be 100% honest with you. Am I sorry for my actions? Yes. I've said it numerous of times. But with all the allegations going on about me being other people, I wasn't other people. I logged in for 2 people. But that wasn't even on my team that I was doing to help somebody else out. Now, people can say, oh, well, you still had that. Well, all I can say, man, is I apologize to the deepest of depths or whatever. I'm trying to do right. I'm trying to come back. I'm trying to have a good time. I know what lies ahead. I know I'm going to get called a cheater. Even if I went to the minor leagues and won in the minor leagues and went to a championship or whatever, I'll still be labeled a cheater. So it's going to happen regardless of what I do anyway. I'm hoping that answers your question, Dave.
No, it does.
I'm trying to be honest. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to right my wrongs, be honest. Let you know that I'm sorry.
Here's
at the end of the day, I'm sorry I hurt good people.
Here's the follow up to that, and then that's it. We're gonna wrap it up. You've been back now in the SFL for a couple days, 3 days, whatever it is. Have you, now that you've been back from the you're back in the SFL and you don't have any restrictions on you, have you already begun reaching out to people to apologize? Is this a thing that is ongoing? Have you already started it? Do you plan on doing it? What's your plan with that? As far as individuals and stuff, like your friends you spoke of before and things like that.
Yeah, first and foremost, correct. Yeah, first and foremost, I just wanted to kind of, get this week situated, maybe Friday, Saturday, to start reaching out. I'm just hoping that people will give me that second chance. And, I heard from a lot of owners when everything went down that, they didn't want me to lose my team, but I still had to pay the price. And I 100% agree with that. I had to pay a price. And if losing my team was the way Cam wanted to go with it, then so be it. I, again, did this to myself. Nobody coerced me. Nobody, if it makes you feel any better, my wife was pissed because, we spent a lot of money into this. We do this. She knows how much I love it. And for me to do something so stupid, she just wasn't happy. Just going to tell you. But yeah, I want to reach out to people. I want to reach out to everybody that was on my team. Before I left, I had a conversation with everybody on my team, with Danny Stinson, Khalil Thomas. Everybody was in the chat, and I told them what I did up front in personal, and just apologized to them. And there's some people that was disheartened, and but the majority of them understood that I made a mistake. And I know that I wanted to touch on one thing because I know he's listening, but to Greg Soto, we had the utmost friendship and respect for one another. He can say what he wants to, and drag me through the mud if he wants to, and that's fine. But I'm not going to do the same to him because I did that to him. Everybody on my team, I did that to them. And so, if anybody needs to apologize, it's me, and I do apologize to my whole team. Well, I mean, we could have went to the championship that year. I mean, we had a good schedule, we had good players. I don't think that as far as the whole free Soto and all that thing, that was kind of weird because I thought I gave that guy everything that he needed. I mean, we had JC Torres, who was almost maxed out, and we replaced JC Torres with Greg Soto and completely maxed his player out. So that's one. The second thing that Damon says that he never does is he gave an opportunity to a new player to be the offensive coordinator. And then on top of that, he became the head coach of Chicago. So those are the three things that I pretty much gave Greg. So I don't know where I went wrong in that, in giving him, or, I did him wrong in some way, other than the fact that after all that went down, he got labeled as a cheater as well. As well. I never intended for that to happen.
Well, I think that Greg's actually on my show tomorrow night, so I might ask him that for you on the After Dark tomorrow night, maybe.
But like I said, I never meant to hurt Greg. I think it was more of a disappointing factor that here's this guy, he's coming in super excited, the Cuban Missile. God, that was a great name. We had conversations over his family, over his wife and his kids, and the loss of his job, and I was trying to be there for him for his loss of his job, and he got a new job, and I was so excited for him to have a new job coming up, and I just shot that to shit, bro. Like, for real. All the conversations that we had was meaningless after my actions. You know what I mean? So, I deeply apologize to Greg for that. But other than that, man, I thought I gave him everything that he needed to succeed in the league as far as coaching and that kind of stuff. So,
okay.
But with everybody else, I apologize to them too. I don't mean to leave anybody out.
And I'm sure you'll continue to make your what Damon called the apology tour. I'm gonna wrap this up now. I think we've heard everything that we need to hear for tonight. I want to thank Damon and Shann for coming on tonight. I think they both knew they were going to get the hard questions, and they did, and they answered them. Also, I want to thank everybody in the chat. I mean, you didn't listen to me. You still put all the emotes in there, but thank you guys for everybody that was listening to this. I haven't seen any comments in Gen Chat or anything, so I don't know if where people fall on this anymore. I don't know what the reaction to this interview is so far. I just looked in Gen a few minutes ago for the first time and responded to one thing, so I will scroll back and check it out. So that being said, tomorrow night we'll have our regular show on Access Live, and on After Dark tomorrow night I'll open it up for people to come on to give their response to this evening's show. So if you have something you want to say to me, or you can put it in the chat too, it doesn't matter, or you can come on the air, either way, to me about the show tonight. Tomorrow night After Dark will be the time to do that. So once again, thanks to Shann and Damon for coming on, even though we haven't been able to see Shann for about 20 minutes now. And again, for everybody tuning in and listening to me ask the hard questions and get some answers, and see where Damon goes with this, with Houston and bringing Shann on. So I guess I'll be jumping in Gen Chat here in a few minutes and see what the fire looks like. We'll see you tomorrow night at 9 o'clock right here on Twitch. So basically, have a glorious night. I'll see you at the tees.